Hello, everyone. Officially, welcome to the 2023 Youth Poet Laureate competition. We are going to get things started now-ish, but in traditional fashion, to really set it off and to welcome us all, please put your hands together for Mayor Brandon Scott.
Good evening, everybody. Sir, some folks that I was sitting with said, did you put that jacket on just now? Good evening, everybody. I am excited to be here to help you guys officially kick off the 2023 Youth Poet Laureate competition. A couple months ago, we had the privilege of hearing from our current Youth Poet Laureate, Anaya Taylor, right there in City Hall, and she blew us all away. She was very impressive, but we know, more importantly, she made us all stop and think. And we know that there are so many young people that have strong words and strong mind. And I believe that Baltimore has the most talented young people in the world. There's a lot of things that are always said about young people in Baltimore, what you can't do, what you shouldn't do, what you're not going to do. But the truth is you can do whatever you want to in your life. You can achieve whatever you want. Don't let anyone tell you that because you're from Baltimore that you can't grow to being whatever you want to be in your life. I know that to be true because they told me that all the time. They still tell me that every day, what you can't do. Baltimore is a place where they always say that iron sharpens iron, right? Or earn, but I won't go into that tonight. But it's a place that it makes you the better version of yourself because of the things we have to experience and go through. So when you are someone that comes up young and strong in Baltimore, you can truly take on the world. So I know y'all didn't come here to hear me talk, so I'm going to shut my mouth and say congratulations to you all. Best wishes on a great competition, and we can't wait to see who the winner is. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that, Mayor Scott. Give it up again for Mayor Scott. Give it up for yourselves for being here to see these young people and to see this poetry. Give it up for yourselves. Very quickly, now I'm going to bring up the Executive Director of Do More Baltimore to talk a little bit about Do More, the things we have in store. Ooh, hear that rhyme scheme. Today is officially the beginning of our Do More Poetry Youth Festival, and we have all kinds of amazing stuff happening this Saturday at Micah. So to tell you a little bit more about that and about Do More in general, please give it up for Monique Cox, Do More's Executive Director. Yes.
Good evening, everyone. You know, following a tall person with the microphones is a tough act to follow. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you all so much for coming out and supporting our young people. We at Do More want to ensure that we are providing tons of opportunities for them to amplify their voices and to share their talents with the greater Baltimore community. Do More Baltimore is a literary arts organization focused on youth development where we not only use poetry as a platform, but we use poetry as a tool to increase civic engagement and a tool to build stronger young people who become the catalyst for change in their communities. And as Langston shared, this marks the beginning of our Youth Poetry Festival, so we're extremely excited to have young people gathering to talk about what societal ills concern them and what they think can happen to change, to make that change, and to inspire change, and to move the audience to become more involved in their communities. So this Saturday from 12 to 8, we will have our young people all day, from 12 to 8 p.m. at the Fred Lazarus IV Graduate Center in Micah, 131 West North Avenue. We will host our Youth Poetry Festival. We'll start with workshops, social justice and art workshops. We'll serve them lunch, they'll mix and mingle, they'll participate in open mic events and preliminary poetry slams. And then from 5 to 8 p.m., we welcome you to join us and cheer our young people on as they grace the stage for our final stage competition. This is an opportunity for our young people to express themselves, to share what they are, what they are seeing in the community, the stage often is a place for them to unpack their trauma, their stress, that sometimes goes unnoticed and goes unaddressed. So we want to make sure, as an organization, that we are surrounding our young people with love and opportunities to voice and to amplify their voices and amplify their concerns. We thank you again so much for attending tonight. We thank you, Mayor Scott, for gracing the stage with us, and thank you for your continued support throughout the years. And just sit back and get ready. Our young people will blow your mind. Blow your mind. Get ready. Thank you.
All right, back. I thought that Monique was going to talk a little longer, like she does in staff meetings. I'm joking. Okay, so before we get started, though, I would be remiss. That's one of those words hosts say, right? Remiss. I would be remiss if I did not talk about our amazing sponsors for this year's Do More Festival. So please join me in giving it up for our sponsors, the Baltimore Mayor's Office. I know we got some representatives in the house from these people. Give it up for Enoch Pratt Library. Give it up for Urban Word NYC, who runs the National Youth Poet Laureate Program. I'm sure y'all saw Amanda Gorman on TV at the president thing, the inauguration. So Urban Word is the one who does the national that selects the National Youth Poet Laureate. And we had a Baltimore Youth Poet Laureate make it all the way to the top 4 of that competition. So we be doing the poems up in Baltimore for sure. Fusion Partnerships, give it up for Fusion Partnerships. Maryland State Arts Council for sure. Give it up for the Maryland State Arts Council. T. Rowe Price Foundation. Anybody in the house from T. Rowe Price? All right, well, cool. We give it up for them because they give us money. Baltimore City Public Schools, definitely. The Chicory Revitalization Project. Yes, sir, they're in the building. I'm gonna talk a little bit more about them later on. And then Charm Lit is another sponsor that actually is who helps us publish the book. The winner of Youth Poet Laureate gets to have a book deal and gets their book published, and our publishing partner is Charm Lit. I'm gonna talk about that too. But so, to have a poetry slam, there's an important thing that you have to have, right? An audience, poets, but in addition to that, you need judges, right? You need to have your judges for the slam, and we have esteemed judges. We always have truly esteemed judges. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about who these judges are that are right here in these first 2 rows. So we have some of y'all's bios I know like the back of my hand, but I'm going to just be like a super host, and I'm going to just break it all down because Google. So it's very fitting. That might be another host word, fitting. It's very, I'm gonna come up with a lot of good host words throughout this, trust me. It might be very fitting to start first with the judge who was the first Youth Poet Laureate of Baltimore, way back in like 2014, something like that. So Derek Ebert, our first judge, was the first Youth Poet Laureate. He was right upstairs when he won. He published a book called Black Boy Archaeologist. It's really dope. Then he went to college in New York at Sarah Lawrence and studied writing and poetry and was even a college professor. So like you can really like poet out here. You can really do this as a career path, and he was one of the Do More trailblazers in that. And he's also been published in Baltimore Magazine, Poetry Society of America, and many other places. And he did a really dope, fun fact, he did a dope collaboration with another Youth Poet Laureate from Baltimore where they animated one of his poems into like a short animated film. It's really fire. You should check it out. So give it up for Derek Ebert. Now, speaking of the Chicory Revitalization Project, right? People are like, well, what is that? So before there was a Do More, there was like a thing like Do More like decades ago. In like the 60s and 70s and early 80s in Baltimore, there was a literary magazine largely made up of poetry written by people from Baltimore called Chicory. And it was like the magazine that was the voice of the people who didn't always get to have a voice. And the longest running editor of that magazine is here as one of our judges, is Melvin Brown. Yes. Born and raised in Baltimore, a graduate of Johns Hopkins. He was a professor at Sojourner Douglas. Sojourner Douglas? Is that what it is? Is that what it was? Sojourner. Yeah. Professor of poetry there, and a part of this Chicory Revitalization Project, where it is bringing this project back and rediscovering the poetry written back then and seeing how it relates to what's being written now by youth in Baltimore and by poets in Baltimore. And we have a whole exhibit, an art exhibit about Chicory that is traveling around the different Enoch Pratt libraries right now, and some of the youth of Dumore have been able to do writing workshops at some of the sites where the installation is currently. And also, you should check out Melvin Brown's book. It's here, it's in my notes. This is the part where y'all snap like that. You're like, you got it. Well, I'm gonna tell you about it later when I find it in my notes, but I got it there. But yes, longtime great poet of Baltimore. Give it up for Judge number 2, Melvin Brown. Now, next judge we have right here, see, I'm just gonna come all the way over here. We have Jess Porter, who is the program officer at France Merrick Foundation, assisting Baltimore's nonprofit organizations in pursuing funding for capacity building projects, specializing in arts and culture and funding for programs. Jess believes that Baltimore's greatest assets is its abundance of creative workers, communities, and cultural producers. So give it up for Jess and give it up for the France Merrick Foundation, because helping to get art and community and creativity out there by finding those resources. Next judge, this brother right here, has a various amount of incredible styles because he's Nate Variety, and he's an electric hip hop artist. No, he's an eclectic hip hop artist. And he's originally from Detroit, but you know, he here now, because I'm saying we got him. An academically trained illustrator, music wasn't always on the radar as a career path. Throughout his time at college for creative studies, some of his trials and tribulations led him to music. Originally a therapeutic outlet, it wouldn't be long before he would begin to take and hone his craft and learn the ins and outs seriously. And so now he makes like 70 songs a week. You can see like on his social media, he's always dropping stuff. And so, you know, because hip hop is also at the core of poetry, especially when it comes to Baltimore and the Black experience. So we gotta have a hip hop judge, and we are honored to have Nate Variety this year. Give it up for Nate Variety. Now, right over here, we have another former Youth Poet Laureate. In fact, the first and ever 2-time winning Youth Poet Laureate, and just dropped her book last year, published with Charm Lit. A graduate of Western, growing up, she often was told that she had more of an intellectual rather than artistic brain, which reasonably caused her to have a lot of self-doubt when it came to self-expression. But then she was like, you know what? Nah, I'm about to get out there. I got bars. And then like she met Mecca at Western, and then she became like the Grand Slam champion of Baltimore, and then became the Youth Poet Laureate, like I said, 2 times. And now she's a published author, and she's killing it. And if you need like a host or a poet or something, she would do real good at all the things. And she's a dope comedian, so you should book her. So give it up for Destiny Butler. Okay, so now this is when I come to the bios that are in my back pocket. Surprise, I got more. So here next to Derek, we have another alum of this competition, also represented in YPL once before. This is Regia. Regia is an artist, activist, and teacher in Baltimore, Maryland. Graduated from Hampshire College in 2020 with a BA and degree in creative writing, women's studies, and visual culture. She was a 2018, what'd that say? I write way worse than this, so I should be able to read this. She was a 2018 contestant for Baltimore Youth Poet Laureate competition, and has since been featured in various literary anthologies and magazines, been recognized for their writing with awards from scholastic people, colleges and stuff, and believes in the power of creativity to inspire and uplift and give voice and recognition to those seeking to have their voices heard. Also works with the Chicory Revitalization Project and Writers in Baltimore Schools, and is a mentor to youth and a super, super awesome individual. Give it up for Regia. See, I know stuff about your bio that you ain't even put in there. Next to Regia is Kimberly Day, who is a librarian and manager at the Teen Center at the main branch of Pratt Central Library. She grew up on the sands of Cape Cod, where she asked where she could be holding it down. That's not what it say. This is like a poem. Writing words on paper she never let anyone see. Now she does the best to encourage young people to express themselves through writing every single day. She is excited to be here tonight. Yes, and she loves spoken word, and also is the Enoch Pratt Library representative for the Chicory Revitalization Project. So give it up for Kimberly. So we just got the whole Chicory squad just right here. And Derek is over there too. All right, there is one more judge that I didn't do the bio for, and believe it or not, there's another judge who is about to walk through that door right now. It's gonna be so dramatic. So, last but not least, one of the most amazing poets out here poeting in these Baltimore poetry streets is Keish the Lioness, the creator and the CEO of the Poetry Party. If you've never been to the Poetry Party, you need to go to the Poetry Party, because there's poetry and a party at the same time. Where else they do that? Except in Baltimore, at the Poetry Party. And she is a Baltimore-based creator, emphasizing and creating platforms that empower healing and courage to vulnerable women and girls, using motivational art and networking to bridge gaps between those who have it and those who need it. As a former housewife turned mompreneur, what? That's fire. I have built a network of creatives who work collectively to provide healing spaces, artist showcase, business features, and paid opportunities for women looking to press on with their passion. Give it up for Keish the Lioness. All right, so those are judges, your audience. You both have an important job. Judges, I asked you all to be here for a reason, because you're qualified. So you must determine what poems deserve to be given what scores, because you're smart. And gosh darn it, people like you. Audience, ignore them. They don't know what they're doing. It's poetry. It's arbitrary. If you feel moved by something and you feel like that they didn't feel the same, you have the ability to sway them with your energy. Your job is to determine that they're doing their job right by how you react to the things that move you at your core. So make some noise if you feel as though you are ready to start this poetry slam. So, unfortunately, that's not true. Because in poetry slams, you have to have something called a calibration poet to set the scene for the crowd and also for the judges to get a run through. And so this is the poet who is going to determine the bar for the rest of the poets. And so, yeah, there is a time where we would shout, sacrifice, sacrifice, because we're in Baltimore and we're freaking savages, apparently. So the sacrificial poet coming to the stage right now, please put your hands together for Jay Laureate. Where's Jay Laureate? See, I thought I was doing my telepathy appropriately. And I was saying with my mind, go get Jay, but I need to work on my mind skills more. Another thing, though, to note is that the way a poetry slam goes is that there are scores, but the highest and the lowest get dropped, and the ones in the middle get added up, and then that determines the score for each poem. And so in this slam, and really only this slam, we have 9 judges, because we are going to make sure that we weed out all of the randomness that could happen. And so the highest score that you could get is a 70. The lowest score is like a 0, right? But we have amazing poets in the slam, so that's probably not going to happen. But how do you determine that? What is a 70? A 70 is like, wow, Maya Angelou came down and was like, I got to do one more. I'm ghostwriting this poem for this youth. This is the greatest thing ever. A 0 is like, you know what? I feel like there are math programs that you might excel in because maybe words is just not the thing that you should probably be focusing on. So with that in mind, now that we know the barometer, with no further ado, put your hands together for the sacrificial poet. Give it up for J. Laureate.
Hello. Nostalgia. Blue lights shine brighter than black bodies. Blue lives don't just matter, they matter more. That's why black boys get low when the gangsters come riding through guilty until proven innocent. They ain't trying to uphold the law. They just trying to play God. Incarcerate your body in limbo because you were born too dark in this country. Bleeding out on the ground because every single nigga is a criminal. I guess cell phones do look like guns, do Jim Crow's glasses. They put on those I'm not racist shades and pretend they don't see the lights they're ripping from our bodies. Blue lights don't mean safety. Blue lights mean be safe. Watch yourself. Before you become another black body with a missing heartbeat, before you become another $1 million settlement, before your mama is forced to trade in her son for a check because they can still put a price on your body, they can still buy you. Only black boys had to learn fairy lights and never blue. Black girls being told fairy tales stained red by redneck South stages with never the white man. Yet we still idolize those white rights. Somebody tricked us into wanting that whoop whoop make black bodies get low faster than a black man's life expectancy after being pulled over. Went from master to officer. Officer, please don't shoot. Officer, please don't shoot. Officers always shoot. And then wonder why black boys get low when them thugs come riding through. We ain't guilty, we terrified. Running away from 400 years of history, 400 different bullets. Boys in blue means black bodies dropping and souls disappearing. Niggas going missing when ain't nothing cooking in the kitchen. You've been prosecuted and sentenced. Locked your life in the fear, and as long as you stay dark, ain't no leaving here. And those you dare act innocent, we all know your crime. You were born black in America. Nigga, do your time. Your skin tone comes with a fine. That's why every time a nigga is born in this country, the prison system screams, that's mine. Blue lights don't mean safety where black bodies are concerned. Blue lights mean be safe. Watch yourself, nigga, before you become the next bummified black boy surrounded by police tape.
Give it up again for our sacrificial poet, J. Laureate. All right, so judges, this is the most time you will get for the whole slam, because this is the practice round. So write down your scores. Between 1 and 10. Of course, decimal points are encouraged to prevent ties. And then Monique will collect each score. So from this side to this side, just pass on your note card like boom, 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 boom. And that is going to be the procedure for the evening. Now, just a little thing that I should have did before, but I'm going to do before we get into the actual competition right now. So another job that you have, audience, is to give love, support, and energy to the poets as they are pouring out all kinds of energy to you. And there are a few really interesting and fun ways we can do that. One is by the snapping of fingers, right? That's the stereotypical one people know from poetry, but there's more. You can be even more creative than that as an audience, right? There's something called the sweet chocolate noise. This is what happens when a part of a poem hits you in your soul in such a way that it almost feels like you just had a delicious piece of cake or your grandmother's fried chicken. And you make that sound like, Can everybody just go, Oh, that sounds amazing. Now I'm hungry. But there's even more. You can also take the word she, and the word Jesus, and you can audibly express how a poem has moved you by simply saying, Jesus. Jesus. Can everybody say Jesus? Just see how that echoes? It's like church, but with poems. Or there's another thing that you can do where you're like, well, maybe I don't want to necessarily say something, but I want to still express my excitement. You know, this is called the silent curry. And you just be like, yo, you killing it. And you just be like this. I hear you, poet. Everybody do a silent curry. So there's all kind of ways you can express your exuberance for the poems. You can invent some of your own, you know, just feel free. But all I'm saying is give the energy to these poets that they are giving to you. Y'all with me? Yes. All right. Now, judges, if we are ready to begin the slam, are we officially ready to begin the slam? Yes. All right. So in round one, going in this order, we have Ebola, we have Ariana, we have Mila, we have Joseph, we have Brooke, we have Kyron, we have Talia, we have Tay, we have Ty, we have Anaya, and we have Gray. Are y'all ready? Well, that's good. But I'm not. I'll be right back. Carry on. All right, and now, with no further ado, for real this time, are you ready to begin the slam? Please put your hands together for our first poet of the first question. Oh, no, so we're not going to give the scores until the end. Yes, so we'll add them all together and we'll know at the end, yes. Good question. So now, with no further ado, the first poet of the first round of the 2023 Youth Poet Laureate Finals. Put your hands together for Adebola!
This is Sky Void in suburbia. The first time I had a fever and remembered I was 3, maybe 4 at best. Living in Texas, living in a townhouse, in a good life that isolated and left only me, brother, and mother living in a townhouse. Now by the door of an open minivan. I don't remember being sick until we are on our way to the doctor. I don't have much of a face when I think about what I looked like at that age. Dressed in frills and blossoms and butterflies, but I fill it in with the unending smile that rests in the photo album, picturing, buzzing, cut out, pasted onto this sick toddler's body, caught in delirium. Doesn't that sound like a flower? I needed a blanket in the car. I held onto it, or maybe it covered my lap. Call it innocence that I didn't notice. Call it embarrassment for the timidity of my memory. My heart hammers from mistrust when I answer questions. For this nature prone to forgetting, I don't think we're going to the hospital anymore. Instead, I think I was 3, and I think my mother had to run errands. Maybe errands, most likely errands. I've never remembered Dad in that house. I think my mom had to drive, and the 3-year-old was sick, and the 3-year-old was having a really bad fever, one bad enough to make her dream of the endless suburb, to make her fear its look years after living there. Townhouses down the line, parking lot down the line, a brilliant field which drops down, sloping into a hill by the suburban-looking parking lot, speckled asphalt dichotomized with such greens, mycelium spores on your eyes, memories mixing haphazardly with who I am in the time I remember. Sickly vision blooms corners of poppies, reddened wholly. When I close my eyes, I look towards the Texas sun so... It leaks far past closed-breathing eyelids, dripping eye drops of fire. In that sun, I learned heat has colors as sick children tip their corneas to saline, not sunny sputtering and spitting gas-fed flames, heat. The beating drum and hum of a void blue sky beat, 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 beat. 3-year-old with her mother, sick in the car with a blanket, dreaming a dream of an old reality tainted by the new. They go together like steady heartbeats, bumping once the exact same beat again. Further in time, only aligned a decade later. Thank you.
Give it up again for Adebola. All right, so judges, you're doing your judging. The poet did the poeting. Audience, your audiences. We're getting underway. This is cool. This is the 9th year, I believe, of Youth Poet Laureate of Baltimore. So it began in 2015 officially as part of the national network. And before that, it was just something we did here called the City Hall Youth Poetry Slam. And that started in 2013. So this is a continuing tradition that's been going on for about a decade long now. So give it up for that. All right, the next poet coming up, put your hands together and welcome Ariana.
Wade in the water. Wade in the water. They must have heard that one. They heard that water was our ticket to freedom, so they put that lead in it. Made sure we can't drink the water they trying to drown us in. Stop black men at the border to put that lead in them. Made sure black men don't walk on water, so they told us a white man did. That's how we found black man dead. Made sure to remove us from his holy water, but we all got a little God in us. So now they kill him with his Jesus peace and leave our bodies to wade in the. When lead is brought to a boiling point, it releases poison, which causes an adverse reaction when ingested, like when black boys are let a gun point and the cops release that lead, they start acting funny. Like they can't breathe because that lead in their skulls let them reacting funny. It's funny. Because racism be that pill we can't swallow. So they made sure we have no water to wash it down with. Like the states with the most black people ain't got no water to wash them down with. Like they can't cleanse their body of sin, so they can't have a pure life, can't nestle under the body of water we call God. So they teach black kids about water they can't have. But how you teach about the ocean and not the slaves in it? Why you think that water got so much wave in it? It's because of all the black people that wade in it. We're not afraid of water. We just know what happened if we stay in it. But aren't y'all the ones afraid to bathe in it? Too white to wash away your privilege? But it's time for the tides to turn. It's time for them to see the wade in the water. It's time for God's ark to crash into white bodies like 2 slave ships because no Noahs will be left behind. Time for them to see what this aqua finna do. They won't drink no more wine after God loads the clip and empties out his hydro flask. No Eve will be missed. Skip straight to Christmas, christen white bodies, and we can't leave their children. And we won't forget Adam or his family. Take out his hydrogen, now oxygen's the only atoms we have left. Who's left? Yeah, Eve won't be. Who's left? Yeah, won't be. Legs won't move once Cain comes back for round 2. But we keep it 100, because the Benjamins can stay, because you can take your sin, but you can't take your money to the grave. Once God is done drowning them in his holy water, it'll be our turn to have baptisms that aren't poison. Our turn to have drinks that aren't stirred with the tips of pencils. Our turn to swim out of our own free will, not survival. So white people, don't forget that God is gonna trouble these waters.
All right, give it up again for Ariana. All right, I think we're getting a good flow here. Judges is passing the numbers like an assembly line. Love it, love it. All right, so coming up next, put your hands together for our next poet. Give it up for Mila.
When my best friend asks me what I would say to God when I meet him, I tell her with no hesitation, I hope he knows my heart. When I was 8, I begged God to make me thinner. I was sick of the whispers, the bras never buckled, the hesitation before sitting down, there was no change. I began eating only what I needed. Granola at lunch, Gatorade if I was good that week. I was 8 when I lost weight, when I begged God to change me, God didn't. When I was 10, my mother explained to me how life support worked. She said, once you're on it, you rarely come off of it. She said, things aren't looking too great. I went to my room, got on my knees, closed my palms together. I sat closer to the window, hoping he could hear me better. I begged God to keep her here. Made promises I swore I could keep. See me, I trusted God, because they say a mustard seed is all you need. And me, I was full on faith. When I was 10, my grandmother died. I watched the world go dim. Watched tears I didn't know I possessed race down my body. I stopped believing in God. The funeral was the first time I would see my mother and father cry. I didn't care if God was real. That only made the pain I felt that much worse. I let life run its course. Fast forward. I tried allowing God back into my life again. I read scriptures from time to time. I prayed, even when things were fried, and I tried to trust God again. I thought I could trust God again. When I was 16, he would claim the life of a friend. The pain I felt at 8 would multiply at 16. I cried to God. I begged him. Made promises I couldn't keep, but I swore I would have made a way. I prayed. Watched the world go dim. Watched blood I didn't know I had race down my body. You see, I asked God to swap us out. Take my life for his. I mean, isn't his life that much more worth living? God didn't. I mean, maybe God couldn't. Maybe God shouldn't. See, I got tired of asking God for things, but I decided to ask him for one last favor. I wanted death, but a kind that wouldn't bury my mother. You see, I asked to be drowned, swimming in a beautiful lake, to be hit far away from home, to be swept up in a storm. God didn't. I begged God to kill me, asking for things I knew he couldn't do, so no, this isn't a poem about my journey to God, but my journey from God. See, I like to believe one day I will meet them again, but believing in God and believing in heaven is believing in you. And how do I get to heaven without loving you? I mean, I cry so much, I think my tears turn transparent. I think my screams turn siren. So, no, I don't believe in God. Yes, I want to believe in God. But if you're real, how could you not see all the pain? I mean, so when she asks me what I would say to God when I meet him, I tell her, with zero hesitation, I hope he knows my heart. Or at least I hope he knew it before he buried it, threw dirt over top of it, and told me to have faith.
Give it up again for Mila. Now, I talked about it a little bit earlier, but not necessarily the title, but so one of our judges, 2020 and 2021 Youth Poet Laureate, Destiny Brianne Butler, published this book right here just last year. It's called Chasing Destinations. Clever, right? And so you should definitely Google Chasing Destinations by Destiny Butler and get you a copy. It is a really amazing book. Especially I was reading like the foreword again, or like rather your intro, and I was like, yo, Destiny is like a whole college professor out here, like talking about theories and thesisize and things of that nature, like breaking down like the psychology of what goes into the poetry. So it's pretty awesome. So definitely hit up Chasing Destinations, Charmlit. Or you could just go right to Destiny's IG page and get it, Final Destination on Instagram. Boom. All right, our next poet up, put your hands together for Joseph.
Let my body be a floating corpse on the river of thoughts that is your dreams, your love. implied rather than beams. So let my vocal cords sun-dry by molecular screams. I am the real Frankenstein. Look at me. Ancient cells, yet my flesh remains a novelty, how close to death I am. My place on this planet, though it may vary, it be salvaged by those who never pose the passing thought to what name I might carry. So I've learned from this, the blacker the berry means the stronger the spirits. My very existence be a protest. So the shorter my songs, the more potent my lyrics. I've learned how close to death I am, even in my youth. How close to death I am, history has shown me that they steal God, me and you. They steal the jewels out of our eyes and wear them around their necks. I've learned I like to be left well alone. They hate God here, they kill God here, try to reinvent me without a soul, but that just so happens to be my trademark. You know, I shout and I scat and I jive like that, and how I shout and I scat and I jive like that. That's that poetry, and how I party and party, and that's God's flow in me. I am the real Frankenstein, and I'm already dead. They want the soul in me. And if they can't have that, they want my head. But I've learned that the revolution will not be televised, at least not the next time it comes around. And Spirit says there's a reason evil eyes blue and not brown. Now I'm not mad, more so manic and dehydrated it seems. I'm not sad, but I do panic and have cuss words bust out at my seams. I'm cursed with memories of wars that do not belong to me. I am the real Frankenstein. Are you sure that you can't see? You like to act like you can't see how close to death I am.
Give it up again for Joseph. That was a poet poeting. Judges are judging. Audience, you're doing a good job audiencing. I'm hosting. Not sure how it's going. We'll find out. All right, so our next poet up, put your hands together for Brooke.
Priceless. Adjective. So precious that its value cannot be determined. I'm priceless. You cannot define my worth to a simple priceless. I keep my head up through tough times, guess you can call me timeless. Get behind it. My mental will never change, call me confident. It's common sense. Ask about me, I'm not incompetent. In present tense, can't be defined by like or as, I'm not a simile. I'm so authentic with me, there's no duplicity, unofficially. My name is Mrs. Do Too Much when I feel like I'm not doing enough. Became my own person, I'm no longer categorized as a rebuff. I'm too tough. If you haven't heard, I'm a dandelion. My confidence so untouchable got me feeling like I'm cast iron, I'm past tired. Everything I do is with intention, so effervescent, feel my essence, cause my presence is like a present. I'm adamant. I know y'all tired of me being conceited, but either get with the program or like Michael Jackson, just beat it. This is my reason. I will be the first in my family to have the audacity. My ego will be so big it will take up full capacity. I got vivacity. The quality of being attractively lively and animated. I gotta stay focused and stay concentrated. I'm never fading. No one's words will ever flow like mine. Ask my mom why I'm so... Ask my mom why I'm so confident. She'll tell you it's about damn time.
All right, give it up again for Brooke. So, if you're really enjoying poetry, and you're like, you know, I feel like when I leave here, I might want to just go see more poetry right now. Like some adult poets, just like going ham, spitting all kind of fire for big cash prizes. Right across town is something called the Charm City Slam at Unity Hall, right around the corner from Penn North. And there's a whole nother poetry slam happening there tonight. So if you want to go check that out, you can get more poetry because poetry is great. It's like It's like when you get like really good fried chicken and then you like, maybe I want another piece. That was me at this event yesterday. You was only supposed to have one piece, but I was like, there's still more left though, right? Y'all not gonna throw it away. All right, so the next poet coming up, put your hands together for, let me make sure I got this right. Put your hands together for Cab, give it up for Cab.
I am not original. I am black male, 1C, 25B, manufactured in the streets by a single mother. My serial number can be seen on the top right of my undershirt. I come with no warranty. There is no make or model. We are all made the same, programmed the same, die the same. My life was already programmed before I was born. My father should be gone at birth. My mother should be on food stamps by 5, and I should be dead in the streets by 18. I ain't supposed to make it past 25, but if I somehow do, I am a dead man walking. An officer will pull me over, his trigger finger malfunctions, and he'll hit my off switch. But there is a glitch in the system, so now I am going to college. Hopefully the system won't detect me, install racial firewalls, and burn down all I worked for like they did Tulsa, Oklahoma. 12.7% of African Americans attend college. 30.1% of them have a degree. I may have been created as a minority, but at least I'll be the majority in something. Even when I manage to develop sentience, I am still referred to as black male, 1C, 25B. I'm not original. I am a statistic. I am labeled as 13% of the population while being portrayed as committing 50% of the crime. There is a 0% chance they see me as an equal, and it is believed that 100% of us should be destroyed or arrested. The sad part is they don't have enough data to support their conjecture. I am not original. I will not bow to a stereotype, nor will I pick up a Smith & Wesson. I will not end up like other men in black skin. I'm no robot. I'll be a legend and smack the system in the face. I will show them success even though I was set up for failure. Like a rose growing from the concrete, I am not original. If you looked, there are roses growing around me. They see these streets as a gray and fertile scrapyard, but the seeds of self-grown empowerment have bloomed into roses with raised black arms as stems. I am original. There is no maker model because I am the first of my kind. I grew despite the needs driven into our roots, despite the crack epidemics planted into our soils, despite the Jim Crows plucking us out of our gardens. I rose from my conditions and bloomed into a poet, so do not call me a product of my system when I am a homegrown stable of independence. Do not mistake my roots for wires. My raised black fist is an unwanted function. My black pride is busted programming because I will never get with your program. They say they do not see color, but they only see themselves as superior and us as inferior. But they will see the brilliance in my black skin because I am original.
All right, give it up again for Cab. That was the poet poeting. Judges are judging, and audiences audiencing. Shout out to our bout staff. We got Kima Flight, bout managing, making sure all of the numbers are together. Kima is a world champion poet and Do More Baltimore alum. And now she's staff, you know what I'm saying? Because people be coming through the program and be like, yeah, now I'm the boss, I'm taking over. Our next poet coming up to this stage, to this mic, put your hands together for Talia.
This poem is called Her Voice. It was snatched away like an old Band-Aid. It was scratched up like a cat pole. It faded like an echo.
They told her to stop speaking until she let go of the sadness and weeping that the pain was keeping from the freedom she wanted to speak. Those unwanted words were leaking from the vocals she shouted out. Not even writing expressed how she truly felt, but the word she spoke was more of a help. She sounds angry to most, but to her it was like a feather in the wind when she spoke. She almost choked when she realized her voice was a high note. This is her voice, and it is her choice to use it in power. You will not take it away or hang her on a noose to keep her quiet. Her voice will no longer stand silent. Her word might be violent, but it is her peace. This is her voice, so she shall speak her voice. Thank you.
Give it up again for Talia. Representing with that poem. Audiences, y'all representing with your audience, and I'm feeling your energy. Judges, I can't say if I'm feeling y'all judges because I don't know the scores. You know what I'm saying? Somebody else got that job, but at the end of the night, I might be like, these judges was good and consistent, or I might be like, this is crazy. This is like, what do you mean 4.9? But we'll find out. But up next, we're about to find out about this next poet. Coming up next, put your hands together for Tay.
Okay. I watch these shows and I see the connection these people are making. Got me living wondering if life's just to make it or break it. I'm so invested, emotions are turning into the manifested dreams of a paradise with no peace that I would ever rest in, and that's just a check-in. Not making any sense is the definition of my life, so I got to keep the street going and stay walking on a bunch of knives, no. I stay stressed out, my mind on a constant doubt. Words confusing me, what are you talking about? 24/7, 365, the thoughts of never making it to heaven, and that's just a test drive. The words worthless kid stays on the repeat, me having so much stress, my mind steady screaming. No one understands the things that I'm going through. Every experience is different, especially those made for you. Everywhere I go, the darkness follows, so why can't it just swallow me whole like the haunting of the hollow? I try to open up, but I can't, so my mouth's closed. I wish I could explain my life isn't the choice that I chose. I didn't ask for this, constantly thinking of a phantom kiss. Knowing that you cared ain't enough, it's not fair. You say you're here for me, but when I look for you, you're not there. I'm so done with it. All I am is a grave full of this. I give up, and at this point, I really don't give a. Please leave me alone, break my bones. All I know is sticks and stones or crumbled ice cream cone. Do you know what it's like to have a gut full of fish, your throat closing so tight, your mind full of twists? To be flipped inside out, just like clothes, to look in the mirror and only see a wilted rose. Well, that's my life, with the mind filled with knives. I know it's not right, but who will hear my cries? It all goes numb after a while, turning one step into a mile. Outside, I turn my frowns into smiles, but on the inside, I'm a one's on speed dial. I want to cry, but I got nothing to cry about. I'm steady trying, nothing new in my life ever sprouts. I want to die, but I'm too scared, so I pout. Too many emotions, too much to handle. Why can't I just end my life to burn out the flames from a candle? I pretend I'm having fun, and when that all ends, my work here is done, and I'm back on the run again. These thoughts, memories, the emotions constantly blinking like an epileptic trigger. What is going on? Please leave me alone. Like, why the hell can't I find peace in my own home? They say home is where the heart is. Yeah, that's not true, dog. This home has got me starving. I'm almost through. I come from a place of broken homes and shattered families. I got no energy left, man. Where are the batteries? Missing pieces leaving blank spaces. Empty words written on blank pages. There's two sides of me. I got two faces. And the way I'm going now, I don't think I'll make it. These scars in my body are telling stories that I can't forget. Poetry. This is a soul rant. But at this point, I don't even give a damn. These strangers out here love me with my own family. That's crazy, man. And that's messed up, homie. I deserve better than this. If others out here can't be compared to this. I don't know, kids. All I know is fists. I'm just done with all of this. And I'm so tired of the question, are you okay? Obviously not, but you don't notice or go on about your day. On defense, I'm fine. No, you're not to stop lying, but when I finally tell the truth, I really wish I taught the news. I got a reason to live, and that's why I'm still here. But that doesn't mean I don't worry about the loss, so I live in constant fear. It's a new year, new me. I'm trying to be free, but it's a cruel, cruel world, so F you and me. Oh, you got a problem with that? Okay, and so what? What you gonna do about it? Nothing, that's what I thought.
Give it up again for Tay. So here's a fun story, right? Earlier, somebody was like, did he just put that blazer on just right before the mayor went up there? So I learned that technique, though, from this really awesome jazz musician I know from Baltimore. He actually owns that store, OK Natural. And one time I was at this art gallery performing, and I seen him around the corner, and he walked in. He saw there was wine and cheese. He went back, went upstairs, came back with a blazer and was like, I'm ready. Show me the wine right now. I'm appropriate. I got a blazer on. So I feel like if you just have a blazer in your bag, in any situation you need a blazer, you can just be like, boom, barbershop quartet, I'm in there. Whatever it might be. All right, next poet up. Put your hands together for Ty.
Hi, everybody. I propose a space program for niggas. I'll call it the mass blackening. I'll address it on TV live, the old school way, turn off the telepathic signals in my chip, and speak with mouth, the old school way. I know, mouth is an inconvenience. Mouth gets in the way of things, and mouth don't like your ways. And don't get me started on nigga mouths. When we chew bubble gum, our teeth pop, boom, bap like a gat, ricochets back to your ears all abrasive, and your brain don't like that, don't it? You don't like when niggas have generational wealth to spread to their families and their family families and their family families, and you don't like when y'all take the aunts and who's, we's, and mamas and pluck them out like vultures and burn our history with venom so you can make Ebonics palatable without guilt or fire, nah. You don't mess with black ways, black days, black praise. And I thank you. I thank all of America, you, for telling me that it's red, white, and blue for a reason. Ain't no black obsidian glimmering in the stars in our flag because we ain't meant to shine here. So I propose a space program for niggas. Mars may look like doomsday to rich whites, but it'll be blessed day for us. Space vessels overflowing, the mass blackening, all of us melanoid from telescopes swarming among black legs, black arms, black smiles, black tears, black cheers, all black up in here. And we'll make Elon Musk ask, since when did ants fly? Well, if you were paying attention, we've been said that Africans had wings, but y'all clipped them up, and now we're here in a world that we don't belong in. So I propose a space program for niggas. Don't bother burning this disc for some alien race to hear because it'll be a broken record by then. You'll come to find that cryptic frequency, you'll catch a satellite, it won't be aliens though. You'll find heart in my words. Nothing hinting of otherworldliness, nothing to be dissected, although once misunderstood. By then, you'll understand us and say, oh, it's just the ones that flew back up. Space life ain't alien to black people. In another world, we're just living the life that Earth couldn't give us without poverty, without famish, without performing for the whites. So I perform a space program for niggas, the mass blackening, so we can beat our wings again. And I hope that sometime, someday, somewhere, my plan will follow through.
Give it up again for Ty. All right, that was the portion of the slam brought to you by the letter T, apparently. So we had a Talia, we had a Tay, we had a Ty. But if we're ready, coming up next, we have 2 poets left in round 1. We had 11 in the first round, then we're gonna go 7 in the second round, and then the top 3 are going to be Youth Poet Ambassadors, Youth Poet Laureate. We about to see what's gonna happen. Oh my goodness, the drama. Are you excited? Yes. So coming up next, put your hands together for Anaya.
Claudette Colvin was a 15-year-old girl who was arrested for refusing to give up her seat to a white woman. Said she could not move because history had her glued to her seat.
And this was 9 months prior to Rosa Parks, who sparked the nation with the same notion. And Claudette would not get recognized because she was too dark, too nappy-headed and swollen belly, was told she was not appealing enough. And poetry is a lot like Claudette. Knows what it's like to lay the groundwork and still be parked at the back of everyone's mind. Knows ignorance like a husband. Knows what it's like to fill the space and still feel the echo in the room. Knows empty pockets. Run as deep as the wells we make your tears waterfall into, and we just as salty. We who empty ourselves to fill your cups. People who pay women to shake their bare, naked body and in the same breath ask me to bare my soul for free, like both actions aren't equally as vulnerable. The same people who can't digest the truth they ask us to spit. It's State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby, who Ursula gripped Destin's voice when they demanded she free Keith Davis. It's me traveling 2 hours to get paid $100 to publicly heal for you. It's the city paying rappers and DJs thousands of dollars and asking me to perform for exposure, like exposure keeps the lights on. It's those same artists who take an intermission once I've stepped on stage, laced in y'all chuckles when I tell y'all that poetry is in fact a career path. How can I ask y'all to give poets their flowers when we're the seed that made you bloom in the first place? Singing poetry with a melody, dancing, poetry in motion, photography, poetry under a still light, and poets stuck under a still plight. And I am still fighting between a rock and a hard place, between feeding my soul and feeding my pockets. And the only thing that's getting fed is y'all ego, like poetry didn't walk so y'all can fly on private jets. How are we supposed to get to new heights when history has us glued to our seats? Because poetry is a black woman. Knows ignorance like a husband. Knows what it's like to fill a space and still feel the echo in the room. Knows empty pockets. Run as deep as the wells we make your tears waterfall into, and we are just as salty. We who empty ourselves to make you feel good.
Give it up again for Anaya. All right, we have come to the end of round one. We have one poet left. Give it up for yourselves. We made it through the first round. So closing us out, please show all your love to our last poet of round number one. Give it up for Gray.
Dear men, I wasn't born to be scared of you, but it was just kind of pounded into me, like how every day there's another wife beaten by her drunk husband, or how every summer when I go out in a tank top, there's grown men staring at my chest, or how every day there's another innocent girl killed for saying no to an impatient, angry man. And sure, I mean, I know it's not all of you, but it's enough. It's enough men that make me clutch keys between my fingers. The metal becomes heated as my heart rate goes up. It's enough men that sexualize the fact that I quote unquote blossomed too early, like I'm a sensitive orchid. Side note, I'm not a damn flower. Another thing, I cannot control how fast I grow. But if I were a flower, I would be a deadly nightshade, enchanting but deadly if I need to be. You know, some men joke about rape and sexual harassment as if it's a joke, but when I get offended, They like to say something along the lines of, "Oh, you're so sensitive." And God forbid I try to talk about my sexual trauma, because guys get raped too. And yes, I know that, and I will support them with every ounce of my being. But using their trauma to silence mine doesn't help either party. I have had enough. When will be the day that we teach our sons not to be rapists and our daughters not to hide? When will be the day that we become our own guard dogs, barking back instead of running away like scared house mice? When will be the day that we become deadly nightshades instead of orchids? I have had enough. I am tired of being terrified.
Give it up again for Gray. And give it up for all the poets who we saw in round one. So, while Kima and the Bout staff are mathing and figuring out with the Bout staff, singular, you're supposed to have some help, but I don't know. I trust you. While Kima's mathing, she went to Western, so I got faith. While the mathing is happening, though, the good thing is you don't just have to listen to me, tell slightly funny jokes. We get to have a feature in between rounds. We get to have an amazing feature in between rounds. We get to have the amazing Saini, who was the 2021 Prince George's County Youth Poet Laureate, a student at PG Community College where she has an arts concentration and is a recipient of the Dual to Degree Scholarship. She has performed at Brave New Voices Youth Poetry Slam, the Kennedy Center, the Smithsonian, and has been featured in several virtual slams and open mics, even during COVID, still poeting strong. Her poetry touches on topics like mental health, blackness and identity, as a Gambian American, gender issues and social injustice. She seeks to find and build community through her poetry and help others to be encouraged to write. Aside from poetry, Saini also has interest in sewing and photography and works with the digital media collective known as the Media Bureau. She also volunteers with PG Mutual Aid as a way to help better her community. And I have seen Saini before in person kill it with the poems, so I know that y'all are in for a treat. So put your hands together for our feature, the one and only Saini!
Yeah, tall people stand up.
I mean, you won't have to stand up.
Okay. I think that's good, right? Okay, how y'all doing today? All right, before I start anything, I need another round of applause for these poets because whoever takes this title, Baltimore, y'all are in good hands. I would like to start off my set with a poem of centering, and it's titled "The Body Is." The body is industrial. The body is rot waiting to happen. The body is vibrating light. It can only itch for a rebirth. The body is temporary. It taught me attachment before I let go. The body is organic, orchestral, with moon, tide, blood flow. The body is a home or a temple, even when you never knew what it meant to worship. Divine dancing, purposeful presence, the ability to abandon, the need to float. The body is an instrument. We danced on autopilot before we remembered. heaven's entertainers. We can only mimic the things above us and wish for the sky to be kind, for a big thing to choose us, vessel, tipping out the divine. That's that poem. Thank you, thank you. And I write a lot of poems about the body, so the next poem that I would like to share is an apology letter to my body. Apology letter to my body and anyone else whose love has been constant. Finding my way back to myself has been like clawing in the dark and validating, has only been me shouting I am to my anxieties, and I found that not operating on mute takes more than an affirmation, takes a conjuring of bones to dance in divine order, and claiming my place has been like a fight of swords, of deciphering between hands that want to choke out my voice and those that only want to hold my own, and it's been too long before I learned the difference, so I'm sorry I haven't been showing up. Sorry I've been undermining all the ways you've only wanted to help me heal, turn my body into a crimson-lined canvas just to map out the hurt in a way that I can trace. Sorry that I've been spending more time than I can justify, staring into cracked mirrors, refracted images that never gave me honestly. Not sure why I sat and listened for this long, but actually, I've just been accustomed to fogginess, to drowning, to shadow side toxic, to looking for something to wear on my skin that feels worthy enough to cover all this inadequate. Sorry about all the poison I allowed to occupy a body that only wants to do everything it can to keep me alive, denied its ability to perform alchemy, to get me to wake up being the exact same person feels a bit like magic, and I know that you are a magician. To take this bone and this blood and this hurt, have it hold itself like a home, present its face like a girl, to whisper a death wish, to hold it close like a small hope, to speak it softly so they can grow wings, reach my angels like maybe they'll find it okay to persuade God and tell her it's time I come home to my body. I am sorry, because all you've ever offered me was wholeness. Whole is all I could ever be, even when everything screams broken. Sorry that I didn't call the depression by its name each time I felt it, buried it under tiredness and wish-aways and too many excuses. Sorry I haven't been showing up, been more shadow than girl, been creeping around these walls like a ghost or a spirit that only has eyes and no motive, been too many things I don't recognize. And it's not to say that the battle is over, but an explanation for the way that I seem to keep shrinking. The first time you may hear any of this is in this poem, so I'm sorry that I've only given you a poem apology. Thank you. This next poem that I would like to share is titled Trying on My Skin. And the white girl tries on my skin for a night out. My skin is laid across the table, harvested for garment, fresh off the body with the blood still dripping. My skin is in season, is the next hope looks still in shape, ready to be worn, and she touches it only with the tips of her fingers, pops her limbs into the places mine should be, as if she's returned to the wrong home. She smooths my skin over her bones, pose. She thinks she wears it better than I did. Instagram agrees, my ghost screams, click, as we cut to the girl dancing through my bent limbs, arching the back she stepped in at the party. They will praise her, and when she wears it somehow, They don't miss the body it belonged to. They're like the blackness, better as garment than being on her. My skin gets to be a new idea. She gets to be cool in the body I sweat in and take it off. When she goes home, I watch her as she tries to do it without getting blood on her hands, and she will call her stealing ethical call. My skin compostable, like it can sink straight into the ground when she's done with it. Call my skin renewable resource and multi-use. Say, even in the ground, she'll name the daisies hers for the picking. But even here, she doesn't realize that I am still the flower. Thank you. So I was a past laureate for Prince George's County. That's where I'm from. And during my YPL year, I wrote this next poem titled Questions for PG County after Jamal May's There Are Birds Here. Questions I have for those that live outside of PG County. When I say PG County, do you get offended? Do you imagine the boy hoping to shoot his basketball far enough for someone to tell him he can be something? Do you think of offbeat rapping, using SoundCloud to cloud out the sounds of hunger or wanting? When I mention the crabs, do you see the bucket too, clawing back the wings of those who wish to fly, and not just a really good meal that invites the family in and the neighbors in this poem? Maybe the crack is just coming from the shells. When I say he beats his feet, do you think it's for a beat down, or do you see the dancing too? Limbs lifting and twisting. Does your mind's eye allow you to see his joy? When I say there is swamp water, do you see us as the lotuses and lily pads, or do you find us under the water gasping, submerged in a mud we want to rise from? If I told you about the red line, do you see blood separating us from places we're told we don't deserve to exist in? Or would you just think that somebody is going home? Thank you. I got one more poem to share before we get back to these wonderful, amazing poets as they duke it out to see who will be the next Baltimore Youth Poet Laureate. I'm very excited. I'm very excited to be an audience member again. So yeah, I'm gonna do this last poem and then that's it for me. This poem is titled Water. Water is the blackest thing I've come to know, see. Black and water go hand in hand and way back to the Middle Passage. Water remembers our ancestors who couldn't bear to have a spirit that wasn't free, so they jumped ship, shed the body so the soul could return home. You could not keep them in enslavement. And remembers those who could not survive the journey and were thrown overboard because they never bothered, but to leave black bodies floating in the water. And maybe there is something in our spirits that's been dying of thirst ever since. Black is water and thirsty for help, but black bodies always gotta save themselves because everybody else finds it easy to look the other way and leave us to drown. Black boy drinking bottle of Hennessy like a magic potion. All his unacceptable emotions are washed down with the liquor and suppressed for a while longer. Water like 1950. Black body is barred from the swimming pool because black skin is too colorful and not lighter than a paper bag. The white faces laugh like, surely you ain't got no buoyancy in that body, and black skin ain't never come with the right properties to float. Your hair would get messed up anyway because your mama spent 2 hours to hot comb that hair. We have forgotten how much water we really are. Like black child telling black parents that they are gender fluid, and they tell them that's some white people-ish. And if you pray on it enough, then maybe you can dissolve your identity. Water like Flint. How they've been too content to leave black communities with rusty water and lead poisoned water. How many times we have forgotten and remembered, and how they still can't drink from their tap to this day, but they say race ain't got nothing to do with it. Say, find a better place to live. Like, can black body become fish and swim upstream with all that magic you say you got? I once heard to withhold someone's rights to water is one of the biggest acts of violence. So tell me how this isn't war water. Like how black women always gotta be vessel, a support and pouring even when not replenishing each time. We can only rely on each other to fill ourselves back up. Water is the blackest thing I've come to know. Like black refugee coming from overseas for a better life, a fish out of water finding its way in a melting pot. They drink the assimilation hot and steaming water. Like how we were never taught how to swim. Have you ever noticed how the body is 70% water and 70% of us don't know how to swim to this day? Black children are at the highest risk to drown. Water like black depression. We are taught to swallow our sad and keep swimming cause there ain't never been no sympathy for black tears. Black could scream and the world will still try to find a way to color our blues mute. We see water in black hair. It is fluid and winding. Now they always want to be on our wave, want to be seasick with slick edges and waves, but never know what it feels like to drown or feel fish out of water. Just want to drink from blackness without inheriting the black blues, only want to dip their feet in the water without becoming it. And always quick to abandon before the osmosis creeps in, but they still say it ain't that hard to swim anymore. And if you want to know a magic trick, just say black people invented water and watch white face turn flesh red with anger because they ain't come up with it first. All I have left to ask is, how isn't water the blackest thing you've ever heard? Thank you.
Give it up again for our amazing feature, Saini. Yes, hot fire and water. All right, so are y'all ready to go to round two? All right, so here we go. So first of all, let's give it up for the four poets who we don't get to hear from again because it's a slam and we got a cut. So please put your hands together for the amazing poetry that we heard from Tay, Adebola, Talia, and Gray. All right, now going in this order in round two will be Anaya, Ty, Joseph, Mila, Brooke, Ariana, and Cab. So put your hands together for first, setting off round two. Give it up for Anaya.
In poetry practice, Black Chakra tells us to speak in pain. But I've been doing that for years. I guess he doesn't recognize it because for black men, their pain is manifested into anger while ours is mistaken for it. Do you know what it's like to have to translate everything in your head first so it could be more digestible? Like every I'm drowning gets turned into I'm fine. I've been swimming in the deep end for so long. My body has grown gills, and he asks, what does the pain sound like? I don't speak. Black women aren't allowed to show pain, so we take everything with a grain of salt-soaked tears, but I know what it feels like. My pain is an ant. Strong enough to carry 10 times its weight, but still small enough to get stepped on. Insignificant to most, but it impacts the entire ecosystem of my body, but I can't talk about it. There are too many people waiting in line for my shoulders to cry on. I carry so much baggage. My shoulders have become strong enough to carry everyone else's burdens. Black women have known for being so strong for so long that our strength has become a lifestyle. But being strong isn't a character trait or trendy. It's a survival tactic. Because I don't feel strong, I just pretend that I am.
because I'm so scared I won't survive if the pain consumes me, and this is not a metaphor. I have to convince myself that I'm worth living for, because racism and sexism and homophobia will try to convince me otherwise, and if that's not enough, I have to convince people who look like me to see the sea of problems before it becomes a monsoon. But they mistake unsatisfied for ungrateful, so my cries for help are ignored, and they mistake drowning for fighting against the current, and I am left to save myself. But my strength has become an anchor, and I don't want to be seen as weak. I just don't want to die. Is that painful enough for you?
Give it up again for Anaya. Now, here's a really important announcement. I talked about that we were going to have, a whole youth poetry festival happening on Saturday, and this is just the precursor. So these are some flyers for what's going down on Saturday, and you could take one and pass it along, but it's going to be really awesome. A lot of the poets you see today, you see there as well probably participating, and there's going to be workshops, there's going to be food, and then from 5 to 8 in the big final stage finale, it's going to be the feature, Ayanna Florence, who is currently the #1 woman slam poet in the world. And she just won the title just a couple weeks ago right here in Baltimore at Center Stage was the finals, and so she's coming back to be the feature for our festival, and from 5 to 8, you get to see the top poets from all Saturday's activities all come and represent on Saturday. So, come out, bring a friend. It's going to be free. 99, meaning that's no dollars at all, or cents. And I might be there with a whole different blazer on. You never know. I also heard that our Bout staff, Kima Flight, is going to be hosting Final Stage. And she good at math and hosting, so it's going to be great. All right, coming next to the microphone, give it up for Ty.
Hello again. Little black girl, big blue world, teddy bear berets dangling from her plates, door backpack, twinkle toe step. Why do they flash like that? Why do you flash like that? Light glow like a disco ball, party with your toes. Light pulse like ammunition. Boom, boom, boom. Light blinks, trailing her feet like the eyes that watch her. Red, white, and blue, red, white, and blue. Snap, crackle, pop, little black girl, big blue world, chew bubblegum, boom bap, lips bodacious. Smack your mouth like a rap song with all the curse words. Bubble pop like a gap, bubble pop like a white boy's joke. I can't tell if they're fireworks or gunshots. My firework would work my fire as you would do, as would do. Walking as a carcass half alive, gonna drop dead, draw her on pavement, call her chalk child. Little black girl, little black lie, outline big with a fractured spine, bent back broke, she don't know how backs are broken, she would've wanted it though. Draw 'em, sprawl 'em, legs, prom open, part 'em, the part, smother with gut and babe with touch, go in, stretch out mouth, watch it contour in the moan, don't know how backs are broken, she would've wanted it though. Erase her clothes, make her cry, crack her if you're hungry, mutter her name, pornography. Walking like a carcass, half alive, gonna drop dead. Draw her on pavement, call her chalk child.
Give it up again for Ty. So y'all really lucky because my old hosting style that I used to do, when judges were like judging, I would stall by telling really strange and frightening stories about my childhood. And I'm actually going to use some of them, and I'm going to pretend to be a stand-up comedy act and see how it goes. It's probably going to go terribly, but that's what used to happen. But because we've had such thorough judges today, that has not had to happen. So give it up for these very great and precise judges. Now, I can't speak for their scores because I haven't seen them yet. At the end of this, when we announce, I might just be like, oh, these judges were the worst. They don't know nothing about poetry. I don't really have a smooth transition for this part. Coming up next, put your hands together and welcome back, Joseph.
I am Astro Boy, Afro Boy, here to deploy you into an Afro void, Astro Boy. I spent time skating on stars, larger than the sun I knew back when. I think I'll stay here for a while. I bounce back and forth between the gaps in my memory. I never get overwhelmed. My heart never starts to beating because I have now become my heart and yours, my heart and yours. Selah, there is truth to my wind. That's what I call your words now or then. I've been living in a river for what would be 3 months human time. I stretch out while the organisms run past or through me. I have gotten through by giving up. I am chilling with these fish. A piece of meat and got snatched up by a bear or a fox or something. Think I'm gonna go down in a dirt den. I'll hang with the worms, make me a little dirt den. I cleared out a space for me to do a puzzle. I'm sure the rodents were puzzled by that, especially my red candles and my festive cowrie shell hat. Anyways, 1,050 pieces. Now let's talk about that. I took to the mountains, cut off the tip and wore it on my head. I jumped into a volcano and nothing on me was dead, but then I got bored, so I went back up into space with the beams and the swirls because I had to get away from that 3D world. So I jumped into the other side. There, I shake it off and I get all loose. My arms become love and my feet become truth. My head gets lighter and wider. I become everything and nothing. I come here and I never leave because there's nowhere to go. I have already been everywhere. I have already done everything. I have already opened every door. I am now the door. I am now open. And I can't feel anything cause I feel everything, and I now miss the earth. I miss being the boy. I miss being a couple things connected to everything. I am now caught in the space between that part of me I once thought was me and absolute truth. It is no good to me here. I have left behind the boy with the woolly hair, and I'd like to come back down. The truth don't mean nothing without someone else to enthrall with its glory and a life to nurture with its insight. See, truth don't really matter if it ain't nobody in sight to catch it. So I'll trade insight so I can see and ask for my eyes back. I'll trade in truth for some legs and appreciate skating on stars and honor my limits and learn to appreciate being and seeing my being and seeing and being as Astro Boy. Afro Boy, here to deploy y'all into an Afro void, Astro Boy.
Make some more noise for Joseph. Check 1 2 1 2. Microphone check. All right, making sure. All right. So we are coming down. We are coming down the line. We got 4 poets left. I thought I had an interesting announcement, but now it's gone. Where did it go? Talked about the festival, right? Yeah. Something I was going to say. I don't remember what it is. Yeah, I do. Oh, so we live streaming right now on our Instagram page at Do More Poetry. But also, my phone about to die. So y'all watching online, just know at any moment, you might just miss the end. And you're going to have to come back and see who won on the page. I'm sorry, but there ain't no plug over there. But I'm glad you're watching. We're going to continue with the poeting. Coming up next, put your hands together again for Mila.
There was a fire. It would burn my house down, turning my innocence into ashes. It would be one of a familiar flame. I don't come from a broken home. I come from a glued together where my parents' elders taught them how to use their elements. My mother has been burned, but water doesn't know death, only reincarnation. My brother doesn't know the seasons. I fear he has been here for too long. He's been on flooded floors and doesn't think to swim, on burning bridges and doesn't think to hold his breath. I think he's become accustomed to the fumes and suffocation. My home has been built in a broken down silo made for keeping the strongest of things in. I wonder if my parents know they are the weather, whether or not they will ever admit that like the seasons, they are changing. My mother is only burning because she is trying to ease the flames. She doesn't see her tidal waves. She doesn't know that the children are burning too. My family only knows heirlooms of Hail Marys. See, in this house, I think I'm like air. But maybe I'm more like window, the way my heart can break like glass, you see. And most days, I remind myself more of my father. I'm a small broken blaze. I'm a small burning urn. The words you didn't earn could burn deep, third degree, you see. But don't I have to be air? I mean, my mother is only burning. I mean, my father's flames burn high. My mother's water's way low. There is no middle ground here. No, we don't know of a ceasefire. There is no air to grasp. There is no breath to catch. I mean, ain't I like air? The way you use me for breath. I mean, the way I go in and out, in and out. I mean, the way you know I'm there without thinking about. I mean, the way I can stop a suffocation. The women in my life are only drowning because they got too many buckets to fill. I said, my parents' elders taught them how to use the elements. My father is a good man. His father was a lighter, and his wife be a match. They sparked this damn fire. Buried in the burning is what we were, whether or not the season changed. Even in the storms, we've always found stability. See, in the precipitation of my mother's tears, seeds, even those of misdeeds, have always been watered. On the grounds that my brother built, paths lit up by my father's flames have been light and they have grown. And with the air within me, I hope to create a heritage of healed heredity, knowing that we know of tough times, we know what it is to be broken, but we know what it is to build. We know what it is to die without being killed. And most of all, we know what it is to know a familiar flame and to be able to withstand such heat.
Give it up again one more time for Mila. Now, the good news is that if you're not watching the live stream, or if the phone dies, or if you're not here in person, in the future, because time and space and airwaves, in the future, you will be able to see this on Charm TV, like on television. So give it up for Charm TV, who's in the building. And like last year, they really put it all in on the production side, so I'm excited to see this year's. I think this is like our third or fourth year with Charm TV coming and filming and holding us down and really helping us to get these young, powerful voices out there to even more and more people in our city. So give it up for that. Yeah. All right, so welcome back to the microphone once more. Please put your hands together for Brooke.
The land of the free. The land that holds no opportunity for people who look like me, where the founding fathers found nothing but fragile masculinity, where people opposite of my color convince themselves that they are the Holy Trinity, but that's blasphemy. A land controlled by people filled with rapacity, so they create the beauty standard, stripping women of their personality, cosmetic modifications, because a cute face, slim waist is the only way to, get that bad mentality. It's sad to me, because the only way to be beautiful is to be skinny, and if you're gonna wear a skirt, they recommend it be mini. You gotta be kidding. What's not clicking? This land was not built for us, but ironically built by us. constantly being treated unjust. They can no longer use chains, so they switched it to cuffs. I think they finally figured out that black people are the diamond in the rough. You get it? Because without us, they wouldn't exist. So to get rid of us, they pop us like zits. Real quick, did you know that there are more guns in America than humans? For every one person, there are 20 guns. And in this land, we shoot for fun. I call this Murderland, where those red stripes represent those cold nights where the river of blood ran warm in the streets. Oh, say can you see? Oh, say can you see all the bodies hanging from trees, and how your ancestors hauled my ancestors to a land with no liberty, a land where I am a black woman, but I am a black woman first. Sometimes I feel like living here is a generational curse, 'cause this land made me forget my worth. But I'm just lucky to be here. I know that there are some people who want my citizenship, so I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the founding fathers who stole this land, one nation under laws that remain divisible, stripping liberty and justice from all.
Make some more noise for Brooke. All right, so we've come down to the last two of round number 2. Y'all ready for this epic conclusion? All right, we hanging on the live. It's hanging on with like 2 bars left. So welcome back to the microphone. Put your hands together for Ariana.
My father's favorite child is addiction. So I personified cigarettes, hoping this message would get to his lungs. That nicotine would spread my name in ashes, just enough to resurrect our relationship. Because with every cigarette, he breathes out the memories of my mother. I guess it's easier to breathe in chemicals than to dwell on lost chemistry. But he was my home until he turned crack house, had me fiending for attention, had me itching for a father who takes quick runs to Targets, not drugstores. See, every kid loves magic, but I never wanted my dad to be a magician. I always wondered how he used those tiny magic wands to make smoke appear, and how he always managed to make the perfect exit. But I wanted a father, not a disappearing act. So this is an open letter from cigarettes to my father. I wrote this, hoping it would be his wake-up call, 'cause he was my home until he turned rehab, a place I could only visit on the weekends. But it worked, better than any poem I could ever write. I could finally breathe, clean air, no more smoke clouding up our vision. It worked. But I still fear what addiction he's gonna adopt next. So this is an open letter from cigarettes to my father. I thought I was your asylum. Now you can't take the smoke. We've been together longer than your daughter's been alive. Am I not what you live for? 'Cause I'll pack up your body with caution. You can't fulfill your life, but you can fill a coffin. You always used to smoke, so you have problems coughing. I guess that means you had a smoking problem. Smoke in your lungs, so it's black like carbon. Die in your lungs, no more room for oxygen. No more room to breathe when your body's boxed in. No more life to live when you've gone and lost it.
All right, give it up again for Ariana. All right, we are coming down to the final poet of the last round. We are hanging on strong on Instagram. It's probably gonna cut off right before we announce it though. So coming back to the mic for the final. Coming back to the mic for the final time, the final poet of the final round. Give it up for Cab.
Hi, Dad. Okay. I construct tragedy. I send the soldier boys sky high to Superman off to their doomsday. But it's not only in war where I stay, I am global and infest the U.S. from the west coast of Oakland to the Inner Harbor Bay where bodies are dumped into the water like Dory. Ain't no finding them in the left that's seen gory, but you'll find me on the hip of a cop or someone who raps hip-hop. I'll get my trigger pulled, bullets to his top, while his heart stops, but I will never stop. People wield my likeness as toys and decoys, but that one kid from Michigan put me in his palm and rushed in like Leroy. But that's not the only tragedy. This shit happens all the time. Like the kids from Columbine who had the AK-47, the revolver, a 9, a Mac-11, and shoot through a school a few times, leaving their bodies on the ground like Mike Tyson in his prime. But the present is much more shady than that. So many musical influencers that they carry a gap from Miggy to Blueface. Boy, this list don't stop. I don't care what colors you're up. You'll leave your head red like Carrot Top. I don't discriminate. I don't care if you're as pale as rice or as black as do-rag. I don't care if you rep designer or take photos from a Mac. I'm hit you with some hot from this mag. Look down my sight to take someone's eyesight. I will leave this sight and eyes to the sea after the shooter saw his brother die. Call this an eye for an eye because they couldn't see eye to eye. Can't you see it, mother? I am a gun. I take life and give death. I take happiness and give stress. Boy, I'll take your homies away, give you a wood box and your mom's a black dress. Call me the Undertaker, cause how I'm gonna choke the life out of you, slam you 6 feet deep and drop a tombstone on your head. Ain't no point in playing judge or jury when I am executioner in the hands of 12 who executes everyone excluding those whose skin resembles eggshells. I leave black people walking on eggshells cause one trigger pull will crack them and cook them up. I turn boys into assassins, mothers into widows. I leave younger brothers crying into their pillows. I cause casualties. It's a loop of insanity based around catastrophe because I am built to construct tragedy.
Give it up again for Cab. Closing out the slam, that was the final poet of the final round of the 2023 Baltimore Youth Poet Laureate Finals and Commencement. Please put your hands together and show some love for all these poets. So Baltimore Youth Poet Laureate, like I said, is a program that's been going on for nearly a decade now and is part of the National Youth Poet Laureate Network. But something new is happening too, where now they're starting to do statewide Youth Poet Laureates. And so there's like a Youth Poet Laureate of New York, of Virginia, Washington, California. It's beginning to expand into statewide programs, and we're going to be doing a Maryland Youth Poet Laureate program. And one of our partners in that venture is going to be Words, Beats, and Life, who is the PG County and DC Youth Poetry Program. And they're like a really awesome poetry, hip hop, breakdance. They do all kind of things. They've been around for a very long time. And the Youth Poet Laureate who featured for us today comes out of that organization as well. So shout out to Words, Beats, and Life. And their creative director, Patrick Washington, is in the building. So give it up for Patrick Washington back there. Yeah, so fun fact, way back when this Baltimore Youth Poet Laureate initiative started, before there was ever a Do More, an organization called Poetry for the People put together a youth team, and then we combined with the PG County youth team, and we went to Brave New Voices in 2010. I think that was one of the years it was on HBO, and I was the co-coach of that team with Patrick Washington. So it all kind of started with us in his basement. Like, come on, y'all, let's see what kind of poems y'all gonna do. 2010. Wow, that seems like a long time ago. Right. You have more gray in your beard than me, though, so I'm trying to catch up. So, we are mathing, or Kima is mathing, the tremendous one human bout staff over there. I don't know. While the mathing is mathing, did you just run away? While the mathing is mathing, or are you done? You got the math? You got the math? Give it up for the fast math for Kima Flight. All right. I'm looking at stuff. I see things. All right. We still live on Instagram. And this is the moment. We still going strong with 5% left. All right. People everywhere, right here, on Instagram, on TV. Watching on TV. We have the results. So I'm going to announce. So, okay, I can't just announce. I got to explain, right? So the top 3 are going to be Youth Poet Ambassadors, and you're going to have a Youth Poet Laureate, right? And so they will represent Baltimore in many different capacities. They're official arts ambassadors for City Hall. They get to travel and perform, and Youth Poet Laureate publishes a book, and all of these cool things. And I also heard that they're going to get some tickets to the baseball game, too. That's the thing that's going to have it, too. So that's pretty awesome. So they all can go and yeah. And first place actually wins $300 as well. Right? Totally forgot about that part. So I have the top 3. Right? Okay, yes, I'm reading correctly. Right. Oh boy. All right, so in third place, and your first Youth Poet Ambassador for 2023 with a score of 108.8. Dang, that's a lot of points. Give it up for Joseph. Now, usually, like when we upstairs, we have all the poets come up on the stage and do a big picture. But if we do that, I feel like we're gonna die because everybody can't fit on the stage safely. But we definitely want to take a picture of everybody, you know what I'm saying, before it's all said and done. All right, in second place, and the other Youth Poet Ambassador with a score of, man, this is symmetrical, a score of 101.5. Give it up for Ariana. Okay, I'm going to say the winner, right? But before I say that, I want to say something real important, right? This is the most impressive thing I saw all day other than the amazing poems. So in this slam, we got a lot of judges, a lot of scores. We don't announce none of it. We keep everything moving as quickly as possible for time purposes. But none of the poets knew the scores. They didn't know who was winning, who was doing what. But throughout the whole slam, what I witnessed was all of these young people enthusiastically cheer and encourage one another throughout the entire thing. They know who was winning. They was giving it up for each other every single poem. And so that is awesome, and that is what it's really about. And so in first place, and the Youth Poet Laureate of Baltimore with a score of 112.1, give it up for Anaya! So we have medals and there's a trophy. I just want to say, yes, I'm going to step down. Y'all can take an awesome picture. Many thanks to all the judges and to all the sponsors and to all of you and to Charm TV and City Hall. It wouldn't be possible without you. Come to the festival on Saturday. That's all I got to say. Monique, any more announcements? If not, peace, Black Jesus, or no Jesus. Give it up for all these poets.